My name is Jon DeLeon, and I am an independent author from Northern Colorado. I currently live in Wellington with my wife and our two dogs, Isabel and Diego, and I was born and raised in Northern Colorado. Now, my backstory, life-wise, it's kind of like a dream life as a kid. I grew up in Northern Colorado with my mom and my dad, and my brother Justin, and really had an awesome childhood. After which I went to Colorado State University, where I graduated with a degree in investment analysis, before moving to Miami for about a year and a half, and then California for almost a year, and then returning home. I have kind of explored the arts and done improv classes and all that, but it came down to I just love stories. I'm one of those people that I have started writing books or started writing stories and then just shelved it or put it in a storage unit for years, but it always comes back. But outside of that, my other passions in life really come down to fitness, travel, and kind of just enjoying the idea of, achieving. I did and didn't always know that I liked writing stories. The first real story I can kind of trace back in my mind to writing, I'm sure that there were ones before this, but the ones I can remember, the first one it was in fourth grade. And it's a memory I have of writing, I think there was a character that was making a journey through the desert or something like that. I don't have the story anymore, and I don't remember all the details, but that was the first time I ever wrote something just for fun. It wasn't like school required you to write this specific character drama or this specific sentence structure or this specific book report. It was kind of an open-ended, write your own story, and that's the first one I remember actually writing. Now, after that, I remember in fifth grade writing like an essay that had just a ridiculous amount of alliteration, ridiculous metaphors, but it was fun again. I don't know what happened, but somehow I lost that fun passion for quite some time after that, until I was out of college and I was selling real estate, and my mom was actually looking at writing a book, which she has now finished. Link in the description. But while I was kind of selling real estate and she was working on writing this book, I listened into a seminar she was doing with Dr. Wayne Dyer, and I decided to write my own book. Now, this book, when I first put it out, was called Reaching the Summit, Mind and Body Weight Loss for Life, and it was about my weight loss journey. But I encompassed it with the story. And as I was writing the book, what it came down to is my favorite part of that whole book was writing the story of this guy named Frederick who was trying to climb this impossible mountain. And that was the moment that I really realized I love writing fiction. Now, it's taken me years to gain the confidence to actually put books out there again. After I moved to Miami, about a year after that book, I wrote my first book under a pen name because I was kind of afraid to use my own name, and I didn't have the technical skill, I didn't have the technical ability, and I didn't really have the understanding of what was required to make a book great and to really market it out there. So I'm still on that journey. I don't think I'll ever be off the journey of trying to get better at what I'm doing. But yeah, it's kind of amazing to look back at that first book and all the books that have come out since then, that I've released either regarding fiction, self-help and weight loss, or through the company I work with, my dad, releasing real estate books. And so yeah, did I always know that I wanted to be an author? Yes and no. I've always loved stories. I'm definitely the person that will binge watch a TV show for a week when it's, kind of a ridiculous level of entertainment to consume at one time. But I love the stories. I love the character development. I love the way that seasons loop together and the overarching negative stories or the 3-story arc in books. And it's kind of one of those things that, like, I always loved that. Did I ever think that I was going to be good enough to write those kind of stories? I don't really know. But I'm glad to be doing it. Writing is one of those things that you kind of have to be called to it. And I mean that in a real sense. And I know everyone always says that of it's a calling and I can't stop. I really can't stop. I actually have a physical struggle stopping my creative process and my creative ideas in my mind. It's one of those things I just love doing. There has been times where I was like, I need to stop this, I need to cut it out. And I put literally a board of ideas and boxes of outlines into a storage unit and left it there for about 6 months. And after 6 months, I came back to it and was like, oh my gosh, like, it's like someone turned the lights off and then turned them back on. I needed those in my life. And that's really what it comes down to is, even though I get bad reviews here and there, and I messed up the formatting in my first book, and I didn't understand the technical quality that was required with my very first under pen name story, and sometimes you just get beat down by the market. People just give you negative reviews and just... But the truth is I couldn't stop. I don't know if I'm a glutton for punishment or I just have a passion for it, but it's one of those things that I know I'm going to continue to do the rest of my life. Yes, one of my main books that is still available today is Lose Weight with Your Mind. I am a big proponent of fixing the mind to allow you to fix your body. I was one of those people that was overweight and really needed to build confidence in myself, to stop self-sabotaging, and to allow myself to really make that physical change and that health change. So for me, the mental struggle was way worse than the physical struggle. Physical struggle was the result of the mental kind of self-doubt and low self-esteem I was dealing with. So for me though, when I fixed that, and sometimes it's dumb to say this, but moving something heavy or picking up a heavy barbell, that confidence, that physical confidence, will yield emotional confidence. And when it does that for me, that's what gives me the confidence to write how I want to write, or put my books out there, even though I know that somebody out there is going to hate them and they're going to talk about it to everyone on Amazon. It's going to happen. So for me, yeah, fitness and fiction, they go hand in hand. That self-confidence growth is what gives me the ability to really put out original stories, and some that you're going to love, but somebody out there, in a cave somewhere is going to hate. So yeah, I think fitness and fiction kind of go hand in hand with that self-confidence aspect, for me at least. To write original books, you have to have original ideas. And for me, most of those come from either dreams I've had, or they come from a spark or a moment, like when you're watching a TV show or reading a book or reading a scientific journal or just traveling, that something hits you and it just snaps. And it's just an idea or a moment that you can't forget. Sometimes it's a dream, like I said, that you get stuck in your mind for years. And the only way you can ever kind of realize it or bring it to the forefront and understand it is to create some super elaborate story around it. Sometimes it's just one little thing that you see that doesn't make sense or kind of is really enticing, and then you have to write a story around that. My ideas really come from that. As far as the kind of the other story structure that comes from, I would love to say that I, have a bachelor's degree in writing and I studied every single thing. But the truth is, my real structure comes from my consumption of stories. I am a lover of movies and books and television shows, and for me, my story structure, my character interaction, my dialogue, the way that things ebb and flow and twist together, I've just watched so much and consumed so much that I think something deep inside my brain just kicks in and connects and just takes over. There are so many times when I'm writing a scene or writing an entire book that as I'm going, I'm as surprised while I'm writing it as you will be as the reader. I'm like, did that just happen? Like, how did that... I don't plan it out. I just let it flow. And so that's where my ideas and the books really come from. Is it comes from, I don't know if you call it the universe. I don't know if we want to call it God. But it comes from a unique moment, a spark that just opens the flow of creativity through my mind. Like I said, when it comes to unique ideas, the idea that you have and the way that you build a story around it, no one else will ever be able to do. No one else will have the same dream that I had. No one else will have the same take on an idea or an aspect of society that I have. So these stories are inherent unique. Mix in a little bit of the cooperative building that I get from beta readers and alpha readers, and ideas I get from other people that spark an idea in my mind, and that collaboration is that like a synthesis that creates something that you cannot find anywhere else. And I think that it's really valuable to have that. I think that there's some story structure things that should carry over from time to time. I think I had a negative review on Undead because there was a character that was, despicable and he was large and fat, and they're like, oh, he's Jabba the Hutt. I mean, to call every like bad evil person that happens to be large, in this case he was embodying gluttony, Jabba the Hutt, is a little bit of a stretch for me. But at the same time, I can't say that didn't describe perfectly the character I wanted to portray. So, are there things that won't be unique? Yeah, absolutely. Because we are on a shared mindset and we have the same experiences in some realms. So I want to rely on that to connect the idea from some other pop art, or pop movement or some sort of story that you've read before. So you can understand that idea and the detail I'm trying to convey better. But there's nothing that can match the symbiosis between a dream and an idea that I might have mixed in with some of the feedback that I get from my core support group. I have really taken a lot of influence from authors of books that I loved. There's a truth to great authors, no matter what the story is about, that they just hook you and the pages just keep turning. I really loved the Ghost Country series from Patrick Lee. So Patrick Lee's book really follows a lot of dynamic action and character, and it really pulls you through as you're trying to learn about this flawed character, but at the same time, he's a good man. I love all the James Rollins or James Clemens books. Now, I love the Sigma Force novels, and I love the Band of the Bandit series. Now, the Band of the Bandit series is more fantasy. Sigma Force novels is more, pure science fiction. Pseudoscience, government agency, solving problems that save the world. But relies heavily on the three-story structure, right? It jumps from here to here to here to here. These stories meet at some points, and are they going to join? No, they just miss each other. And it's really a cool structure that I enjoy, and I enjoy reading through. And I love the way that he really structures his stories. Obviously, some other books out there that have really connected with me, like the Hunger Games trilogy, I couldn't put it down, and I was actually sad when it ended, as well as some classic ones. But one of my favorite stories from when I was a kid was the Redwall series, and it's one of those things where I look back on it now, and it's kind of funny to think about a badger and a mouse and like a raccoon fighting with swords in medieval times. But really, they took real human elements of violence and medieval times and just replaced it with furry creatures. And it connects in a different way. And that was kind of an eye-opening moment for me I was inspired of, hey, you can almost take the exact same story that someone else told 100 different times, but change one key detail that, changes the character or changes the story or changes the perspective of it, and you get to see a completely different story. And so I really loved that and really took a lot of inspiration from that. And at the same time, I'm really inspired by tons of different movies and tons of different TV shows outside of books. I mean, the idea that literally a camera angle from above makes you feel like you're overpowering a character when you're talking to them, or if they angle it from below up, you feel like they're overpowering you. Like small things like that, a certain amount of tilt in one direction versus the other direction has different emotion that conveys to you. Those are the kind of details that are just so amazing and so unique that I like to try and take influence from everything I consume and just soak it in, and then when I write, let the flow just come. I am indeed an optimist, and so when it comes to it, I always try and find the best in the situation, or try and find the best in people. So that's definitely a leak into my books. But I think it's one of those things that if you think about it, it's always, good guy finishes last, or whatever you want to attribute to that. I always believe that that's not true. And, part of that might be the Think and Grow Rich idea of act in a certain way, and that's my own certainty is I try and be the best person I can. And so I want to read stories where the best person wins, not like the evil guy just ends up being so corrupt that you can't overcome it. And so most of my books, no matter what the situation, no matter what, if it's a story about an asylum or about the zombie apocalypse or about a dystopian future, there's always this idea of good versus evil, this, or even sometimes it's good versus gray, because it's not good or bad. But hope is always the redeeming factor that is pulling you through these books. Hope is that emotion that the characters cling on to and that you as the reader want to see, come to fruit. So my books are definitely for the people that like positive endings, in most cases, because I'm not the kind of person that really enjoys when a movie just ends and you just feel like, wow, I feel more depressed than I started this movie. That's not something that I love doing. So my books, yes, they do always tend to turn to the positive and have an optimistic outlook. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and getting to know more about me, Jon DeLeon. If you want to connect with me, I'm available on Instagram at Jon DeLeon Author, where I share kind of life updates. I'm available on Pinterest at Jon DeLeon Author as well, where you'll find boards that go over my own inspiration, as well as my books and what kind of areas or scenes or ideas kind of filter into those, and the inspiration behind those stories. I'm available, obviously, through this YouTube channel, as well as my newsletter, which I would encourage you to sign up for. That is available at my website, www.beyondnormalbooks.com. And that newsletter literally is one email for every new book release, just letting you know when a new book comes out. Other than that, there's 3 introductory emails, but I'll never spam you and I'll never share that email. So hope you enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching.